Hey guys, welcome to this newest review from Digital Omelette. Today we'll be looking at a new series which is called the Dark Prophet Saga, and we'll be looking at two books in it, Orconomics and Son of a Liche. I actually picked this book up due to its fun name as well as how the cover looked. I mean, it is obviously a play on Freakonomics and the cover is also quite similar. The other reason I picked this up is this is a finalist in this year's SPFBO, which is the self-published fantasy vlog. Now that I read it, I have mixed feelings about it. On the one hand, this feels like an early Terry Pratchett novel to me, with all the humor and bad puns or good puns, the wordplay, a moral message, so on and so forth, with a great universe being thrown in. On the other hand, I also feel a bit let down because this is not as funny or satirical as a Terry Pratchett. I mean, it reaches for a Terry Pratchett, but it's not able to make the bar, so I feel a bit disappointed it did. The closest analogy to how I feel is if when you look at an uncanny valley of a video game. I mean, you have these human characters that look almost human, but you can make out they are not, and the difference seems far more pronounced than if they were comic characters. Enough of the Terry Pratchett comparisons. The book by itself is a fun read, but when I started reading it, I didn't have great first impressions of it. The initial sections of the book felt as though there were very cheap puns in it. There was very poor wordplay. I mean, stuff like Goldman Sachs, stuff like Bilbo Baggins, they were all mishmashed together by putting Baggins in front of Bilbo and making small changes, and I wasn't really hopeful. But once the story kicked in and the characters were all introduced, I totally got into the book. Because at that point in time, the author stopped relying on these wordplay stuff and these bad puns and these jokes and started talking more about the message of the book as well as the story as well as the character interaction. And the Orconomics portion of the book actually gets a bit more deep somewhere around the late middle of the book. That is not to say there aren't financial references or references to capitalism, to the bank crash, so on and so forth, but it is a bit light until the orcs come in. So like I mentioned before, the characters are great, they are fantastic. I totally fell in love with each and every one of them. So the author Zachary Pike has done a great job of taking these characters, making them feel quite realistic, making us feel for them and making us care about them. In addition, he's also managed to take standard fantasy tropes and twist them where required. This is more pronounced in the second book than in Orconomics, though Orconomics also has quite a bit of it. The humor is fine. It is, like I mentioned, early Terry Pratchett humor with some great jokes intermixed with a lot of average and some poor ones. There is some wordplay, there are some puns which you may or may not like that much. The biggest gripe I have about Orconomics is the abrupt changes in tone. Like I mentioned before, you have all this light humor, cheap humor, sarcasm, so on and so forth. Characters are not taking themselves seriously up to a certain point. And then the book takes a sudden turn into the very dark stuff. Okay, and I was like, what is happening here? This is not what I was promised, so to speak. But at that point, I realized that I was looking at the book in a very different fashion. I had come to the book expecting a humorous one based upon the reviews, but actually the author had made the book less humorous and made it clear to the readers that the story is important, right? I think it would have gone across much better. Else, like a Terry Pratchett, the author should have made the changes in tone much more gradual. That's my only gripe with it, but I love the book and I actually went and bought the second one and read it back to back. So let's get into Son of a Liche, which is the second book in this series. It managed to do something quite rare. It is the middle book in a trilogy which doesn't feel like a filler. and it actually moves the story forward. It also manages to correct everything that was wrong with the first book and make all the things right and take them to a new level. For example, the satirism, the humor, the wordplay, they are all far more improved in Son of a Liche. Similarly, the moral message or the underlying message is also far more pronounced. If I were to compare this book, the closest parallel would be Making Money by Terry Pratchett. And since I'm talking about comparisons to Terry Pratchett, if Orconomics was an early Terry Pratchett, Son of a Liche is probably a middle Terry Pratchett. Something like a God's Gods or, like I mentioned, Making Money. But it is not a Terry Pratchett clone by any means. It has enough original elements to make it stand out on its own. Plus, the book is, I would guess, about 1.5 times longer, which made it all the more enjoyable for me. I love the book and I would give the series a thumbs up. Please go for it. Hey guys, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please comment, please subscribe, and please let others know about this channel. Thank you once again for your support. Bye bye.